Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Timmy G's Talking Stuff and Stuff. Before we get started for today, I want to say first that we are skipping the outtakes and the jokes and stuff at the end that we normally do, out of respect for the three people that were injured. And, this story doesn't really have a happy ending, or at least the good things in the ending of this story are very limited. So, out of respect for the three people that did sustain injuries in recent events, we're going to skip all of that. And also, I want to say to any first time viewers that we do smoke cannabis on this channel, and we are going to be doing that in this video. We're going to need it to get through this, but I am a fully legal registered medical patient in the state of Virginia. This is literally my medicine. So just to get that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the unhappy ending right now, because not to take away suspense or anything like that, but this is a real situation, and I'm hoping some people will find it out of their kindness of their hearts to donate to the GoFundMe campaign. I have no affiliation with the GoFundMe campaign, just to get that out of the way. But I'm going to post the link down here because, or down here somewhere, because, and down in the description, because hometown music, was a very important piece of my life. And the owner, proprietor of Hometown Music, Chuck, is an amazing human being, and he is the last person that deserved to go through something like this. But that's the way it goes, Sometimes bad things happen to the best of people, but he was more concerned about the people that were injured than he was his loss. And let's get this out of the way, too, that this is not just his loss. This is a loss to the entire community. And so I truly hope and pray, and I don't pray, but I pray for this, that Chuck gets back on his feet and gets the store back open, because this is a loss for the entire community. And we'll get to some of that in this story. But I'm sure that those of you here in the United States, anyway, have seen the reports about the explosion here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. It was at a strip mall. Miller Circle was the name of the road. It was off of, I think, Route 11. And they still don't know the root cause of the explosion. It's still being investigated. But regardless, the only thing that's left of that building that Hometown Music happened to be in is pretty much rubble. I saw the pictures and the videos and stuff, and there's nothing. It's all gone. And that is heartbreaking to me. It's heartbreaking to probably all musicians in this area, because, there was no better place to go, honestly, than Hometown Music. And I would venture to say in the entire state, because, maybe there were bigger shops in other cities and stuff like that, but there was no place like Hometown. And you'll see what I'm talking about as I get into this story. So we're going to start with the story of Ibby and how I became a customer of Hometown Music and everything. So before we do all that, we're going to take some bong rips, because, like I said, I'm going to need it anyway to get through this story. I'm torn up over this, and I just hope that, with some outreach and help, things will open back up, and this will just be a placeholder, Oh, and I'm too busy talking to actually hit the bong, so Oh, oh, yeah. And by the way, we're smoking on Venus OG still. We're going to be smoking on Venus OG this whole month. And I do not remember for sure where this bong came from. I was going through my closet and pulling out all my old bongs and stuff that I've gotten to do up my shelf back here. And this was one of them. I don't even remember which box this came from. I know it came from one of my boxes. It was probably Hippie Butler. Uh, I'm not sure. Back before they started doing the themed boxes, but it's gravy, baby. And icy. Oh, and one more thing before I forget this again too. I actually already filmed the 6-string bass crate, and I've got a couple boxes I'm gonna do after this video. But I'm prioritizing this video, for obvious reasons. So we're gonna start. I'm not sure if it was like 1 year or 2 years. It was something like that before I first shopped at Hometown Music. But I was going through a lot, and those days, weed was a lot harder to come by, and I didn't have money on the regular, and I was going through so much that, as I mentioned, the cannabis really is a medicine for me. It was just as much back then as it is now, and it was probably more important back then because my insomnia was untreated, my post traumatic stress was untreated. I couldn't deal with therapy. Most of the therapists I got just weren't any help. And cannabis always helped put me in a place where I could look at things better. But again, it was hard to come by, and I wasn't sleeping at nights. I was literally staying up for like days at a time until my body crashed. And the weed never did help me with the insomnia that much, but later I would find something, but that's another wave and another ocean. But at the time, I had 2 guitars, and I absolutely loved playing. 100%. I've always been big on the music. As a matter of fact, my mom always said that I was born a musician when I would sleep in her bed as a toddler, and we'd be woken up by the train passing through, and I asked her what that beautiful music was. Or I'd be sitting at the piano still in diapers, instead of banging the keys, picking out individual keys and trying to make a melody out of it. As a matter of fact, if I can find a picture of it, I'll throw that up on here. But I do have a picture on Facebook somewhere of it. But so, I'm not even 18 yet. I'm like 16 or 17. And I decided one day that, I knew where to get some weed, and I didn't have any money to get weed. So I got it in my head that I would sell my electric guitar, which was I think the brand was Kramer or something like that. But it was a black guitar. It was actually a pretty nice guitar for being a starter guitar. It really wasn't a bad guitar at all. And I had a Oscar Schmidt acoustic. So somehow I got it into my head that I was gonna sell this uh, black guitar. I was gonna sell my electric guitar, and I'll just play acoustic. And I wasn't really thinking clearly. And I know a lot of people will argue, that, oh, you're not going to think clearly when you're smoking weed. But actually, I do. Contrary to the tropes, I really do think about things more leveled when I'm using cannabis. But again, we're not really here to talk about that. At any rate, so I sold the guitar and I bought some weed and I smoked the weed, and then I didn't have an electric guitar. And after months of just playing the acoustic, I was like, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it anymore, and I felt like I was starting to lose that love. It's weird. It's kind of hard to explain, but it was, I just wasn't feeling it, and I would go up in my room and play, and like my brother's friends would tell him, like, what's going on? Like, it sounds like his playing has gotten worse. And you might think, oh, well, that's some messed up stuff to say, but they were right. My playing was going downhill and going to hell in a handbasket, whatever you want to call it. I sucked. And, it was what it was. So I was on the brink of just, calling it quits altogether musically. And it was, I don't know, it was almost like part of me didn't even understand that, I was born to play electric, it was just me, and so then when I was 17, we were applying. This was, I think, 96, something like that. Yeah, because I would have turned 18 in 96. So, we had applied for Social Security because I sustained my injury as a toddler. But, so we were going to go ahead and apply for Social Security and get me on disability before I even, when I turned 18. And so we applied, and before even having a hearing, like, I thought it was weird, they sent me a $900 check. It was supposed to be a paycheck plus like a couple months back pay, something like that. And it was weird, but then they said, well, that was a mistake, but just go ahead and keep it. And so, it thought, okay, so I bought some other stuff. I bought some more weed, to be perfectly real, and no regrets, but I put aside $300 and decided, what, I'm going to go buy another electric guitar and hopefully a distortion pedal. I already had an amp to use, so it was like I think it was a 60-watt crate, and it wasn't bad for the time and for a beginner. It was okay. The only bad thing about that amp was just that the overdrive on it sucked, but otherwise it was a decent amp. So I was looking around trying to see, there has never really been much in the way of gear shops around our area, or at least where I was in Stanton at the time. This was long before I moved to Harrisonburg. But so I looked up the stores in Harrisonburg and I found a spot called Ace Music and Electronics, which later would become Hometown Music, but we'll get to that. So I took the $300. My mom gave my brother Dave the keys to the car so that he could drive me to Harrisonburg and go to Ace Music. And so I go to Ace, and here's the salesman, Chuck, when I walk in the door, and super nice guy. I just tell him flat out, okay, I got $300. I'm trying to get a guitar and a distortion pedal. And he just kind of nods his head, and I follow him into the back, and he picks up a Ibanez and a distortion pedal, and they're a little bit more than what I have, but he marks the prices down so that I don't have to buy something super cheap. And I will never forget that, because they probably sacrificed all in all about $60 or something, so it wasn't like a terrible amount of money that he was slashing, but it was enough that, it moved me, and it still moves me, because I picked up that guitar to try it out, and we plugged it into the distortion pedal and everything, and it was like I never stopped. I picked up that thing, I started playing, and I brought the power chords back out of me, and I was up and down the fretboard, and was like, it just felt natural again. That was like there was that spark again. And so Chuck and Ibby brought that back out of me. And I'll never forget that. I will never, ever get rid of Ibby. Ibby doesn't even, the electronics in it are almost shot, but I'm never going to get rid of her. If I can't afford ever to get her fixed up and fix the electronics and stuff, then I'm just going to keep her as a display piece, and she is never going anywhere until the day I die, I guess. Again, I still didn't have much in the way of money back then. That was a check that I was sent by mistake, and I was happy to spend it, but I'll go back for a few more years with nothing, no money to my name. I wasn't going to do that dumb shit again and sell my guitar. I definitely wasn't going to do nothing like that. But anytime that I did need something and I had money to buy something, back then it was still Ace Music is where I went. And then in 1999, when my grandfather passed away, he left me some stocks and things like that, and I just decided, I'm gonna cash in these stocks. I'm just gonna cash them in. I need money, and I'm gonna cash them in. So, one of the things I did with the money that I got was go back to hometown music, and I bought myself a digital 4-track. It was, what was it, a Fostex FDO4 or something like that, and a CD recorder and a drum machine. And I think that was when I bought the big bass amp, and a bunch of stuff. And there was stuff that I wanted to get that they didn't have. And this is, like, I believe the last year that it even was Ace Music. And once again, it was Chuck in the store, and some of the stuff that I wanted, I was gonna mail order from somewhere, I guess. And he said, "Well, let me see what I can do." And so he looked it up on the computers and stuff, and he actually went ahead and ordered the stuff I wanted that he didn't have. And once again, Chuck saves the day. And it was awesome. And I made my very first CD with that equipment, and the CD sucked. Though don't get me wrong, the CD was garbage, but I was able to do it because of my grandfather and because of Chuck. And that was another just super awesome experience. And we're about the midway point of this story, I think, and I didn't even use the damn filter in those opening rips, so let's do it again. Oh, we'll call this halftime heat and chill. So let's do one real quick. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Damn, I was... So going forward, that was around the time that I don't know really for sure exactly what happened, but I believe that it was Hometown was going out of business, or excuse me, Ace Music was going out of business for whatever reason, and Chuck either just took ownership or bought out the store. I'm not 100% certain on that, but Chuck basically took over the store and rebranded it as Hometown Music. And so in 2001, I finally was approved for disability. And well, guess what? When you get approved for disability, Social Security, what's, one of the first things that happens is they give you back pay for all of that time you waited for the approval. So once again, I had a nice chunk of, I mean, not like rich chunk of money, but I had a good chunk of money to spend on getting some more music equipment. And I bought, this time around, I did buy some things from, a few other places. For instance, I ordered, I think it was Musician's Friend, I bought a Les Paul. It was the first series Gothic Les Paul, and which was awesome. But that's another story. But I went back to Hometown Music. It was officially Hometown Music at this point, and they had it was crate again, but it was a full stack, and it was kind of like the little 12-inch amp that I had. The overdrive kind of sucked, but the amp itself was actually pretty decent on the clean channel. And so, you just run your distortion pedal in through the front of the amp. I don't think that it had an effects loop. Maybe it did, but at that time I didn't use it. I used like a distortion and I think a flanger or something like that. And, I didn't really go much into my effects beyond that. But that full stack was, it was awesome to have. And it was, they sold that thing to me. It was like $1,000 or something like that. I think it might have even just been $900, but it was two 4x12 speaker cabs and I think it was a 120 watt head. And man, that thing blasted. It was awesome. As a matter of fact, I had moved with my parents in the latter part of '99 from Stanton to Page County, which is actually about 30 minutes from where I'm at now. But I set that thing up in my bedroom at my parents' house in Page County, and cranked that baby up and started jamming. And I had people from the next block down telling me that they could hear it. It was so loud. And the funny thing was, like, I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," They're like, "Oh no, like, we like listening to it." So when you would go into Hometown Music, it was this way back in the day. I'm not sure if it was like this when they moved the location, because I hadn't bought an instrument there since they had moved locations. But when they were at the old spot anyway, there was a sign back where the guitars were, and the sign says, "Please touch our instruments." I'm sure that it made its way to the new location too, but it said, "Please touch our instruments." And the reason that they put that there is because Chuck welcomed people and even encouraged people that, even if they didn't have no money, just come into the store and jam, And, on one hand, that is kind of like a good business sense, because you're getting the people into the store. But that's not why he did it. He did it because he believes in community. He believes in the music. He believes in helping people play the music. They would have lawn parties here in Harrisonburg. I know they didn't do it this year, but for obvious reasons. But they've done it in years past. They'd have these lawn parties at this place called OCP. Stood for Our Community Place. And what Our Community Place is it's a place for underprivileged people and people that are down on their luck, or people, whoever, to go hang out, play horseshoes, play basketball, get a free meal, maybe take home a bagged lunch, and soup kitchen community care kind of things. And it's an awesome thing. And Chuck would always show up at these lawn parties and donate a few instruments for the auctions or the silent auctions that would benefit our community place so that he could help them continue to help out people and feed people, and it's just an awesome, awesome thing. Like I said, Chuck is a phenomenal human being. And so, over these past few years, I haven't really been in there for much. Well, one, these past couple years, I really hadn't been playing music at all. And, I'd been kind of fading out of it until now. And then, for a few years before that, it was like, I was getting new gear, but I was mail ordering everything. And I was just, every once in a while I'd go in there for a strap or strap locks or, some miscellaneous thing that I just wanted to pick up. I never even thought about something like this happening. It's just, I tend to mail order things a lot just because the only transportation I have of my own is a little 50cc scooter. And everything else, I depend on my dad or somebody else to, take me somewhere. And my dad lives like 45 minutes away, something like that. It's like 30 or 45, something like that. And so, when I need something, I usually mail order it. I don't even go in the store in person anymore to buy groceries, especially with the pandemic. But, I do pretty much everything on order now. But, then something like this happens and all I can think about is, damn. Like, part of my reaction is a selfish one because, like, I think, my first thought is, honestly, I'm not going to be able to walk in there again, Shit. And then I start to think, nobody's going to be able to walk in there, at least for now. It's gone. It's all gone. The fact that the first thing Chuck reacts to is the news that nobody died and the 3 people that were injured. And, everything else was second. And I'll tell you this, in my history of observation and study of humankind, is that's the mark of a great man, and I can assure you 100% because I know this for myself that Chuck is that amazing man. And so, I want to wish the best to Chuck and, all of my thoughts. And I know I don't usually pray, but know this, Chuck, if you see this, I'm praying for you, my brother. I am. And, I want this to turn out good because, you helped reignite a flame in me and you showed kindness to your fellow man and you blessed this entire community and this city and surrounding areas with the gift of music and your kindness. And I'm never going to forget that. And I don't think anybody else is going to ever forget that either. We love you, Chuck. So that's where I'm going to wrap up the story right now. Sorry if I get off on a little bit of a tangent. I am stoned. I am sufficiently stoned. And, I appreciate any first-time viewers that, are against this stuff or, you don't like it, whatever. If you made it this far, thank you for hanging around with me anyway. And I appreciate you. All right, so we got goodness coming up on the channel, still to come the following days and the coming month. We've as soon as we finish filming this, I'm gonna go ahead. We got that Hippie Butler concentrates box, the final one. We've got our Don't Eat the Gum box, that $100 box from Don't Eat the Gum. We've still got we're still waiting on the themed Hippie Butler box. We're still waiting on the Daily High Club box. We're still waiting on Fright Crate. And we got, I think it's after the 25th, we'll have a box, a top shelf box from 420 Goodie Box. And I also got in another order from Horny Stoner. That will be 3 Horny Stoner videos this month. And it's kind of hilarious, but somebody, I'm not gonna drop names, but somebody was kind enough to spoil me, and I really appreciate that. I really do. So we got tons of fun coming up on this channel, and here on YouTube and over on the Weedtube, whatever your platform is. We're also on the other, by the way. And again, thank you all for tuning in. If you like this, comment, subscribe, and please donate.